Hey everybody, JC here with another TNI toy review, and today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And today we're going to take a look at the new Marvel Infinite Series 3 1/4 inch scale Whirlwind figure from Hasbro. This figure is shipping in the second wave of Marvel's new Infinite Series, which is the rebranding of the Marvel Universe line from Hasbro. Yesterday we took a look at the Death Heads figure in the second series, and today we're going to take a look at Whirlwind. And like with Death Heads and all the figures in this Infinite series, the figure comes packaged in pretty standard generic packaging. You've got the Marvel Infinite Series logo up at the top, you've got some Avenger icons underneath that, and then you have the figure clearly displayed underneath that with the figure's name. Then on the back we have an image of the figure. We have a brief bio. Now, one thing I know, I guess I never really realized that Whirlwind is actually a mutant. For some reason, I always thought his powers came from his armor that he wore, but it says on his bio here that he's actually a mutant. So, I guess you learn something new every day. Then down at the bottom, we see the other figures being released in the second wave. Okay, so let's get this figure open and take a look at what's inside. Before we get to Whirlwind, I just wanted to touch back on the review we did yesterday of the Marvel Infinite Series Death Heads figure. Yesterday I had indicated that I was pretty sure that the mold, at least the upper torso of the figure, was reused from a previous Marvel Universe figure, but I wasn't sure off the top of my head of which one it was, so I had said that if you knew, chime in the comment section, which many of you did. And indicated that it was a reuse of the Colossus figure. In fact, except for basically the head and the hands, it's entirely a reuse, and a little bit of different sculpting on the bottom of the legs as well. But for the most part, this is the same body used with the Colossus. And I had kind of thought Colossus basically because of the metal skin, but I hadn't realized that the top shirt on Colossus is actually glued on. I haven't peeled it off to see if there's holes underneath, but I'm assuming there are. But if you look closely, you can tell it's basically is the same mold. And then the other giveaway, which I, upon further investigation, I didn't really peek up underneath his waist piece, but you can see he's also got Colossus's X-Men belt underneath there, still sculpted on. So I just wanted to note that, and thanks for everyone who chimed in about that. Okay, so here's a look at the Whirlwind figure outside of the packaging. And this is a pretty basic figure. There's really no accessories per se that come with this figure. What you see is what you get, unfortunately. So I gotta say right off, the figure is a little bit boring. It would have been cool had they added some kind of whirlwind effect, either for his hands or, oftentimes you see him kind of flying around with whirlwind underneath him. So something like that, if they had added, I think would have really added an extra level of fun with this figure. You can see here I've kind of made a little makeshift thing using spare parts I had lying around, just to kind of give you an idea. Again, I just think it would have made this figure more fun and cooler if they had added something like that for this one. But as it stands, this is what you get. And for the most part, I mean, it does look true to the character that we see in the comics. He's got his little saw blade things on his wrists. Now these are just rubber pieces, and they actually kind of, at least on mine, a little bit kind of warped looking. So I don't know. They've straightened out a little bit since when I first opened it, but they because they're just kind of a soft rubber piece, they can look kind of funny, like they're bent or something. So that's just something to note. Now, I don't think technically the wrist blades are meant to be removed. They don't come off, they don't rotate, and they don't come off the wrist guards. However, you can technically take them off the figure if you want to pop off the hand. Then you can remove the blade, and again, it's just kind of like a wrist piece that fits over the arm. So if you technically want to take those off, you can. Again, I don't really think it's meant to do that, and so I don't really count it as an accessory, but just want to note that if you wanted to remove those, you could. The other thing he has is the chest piece, the green metallic chest piece is also removable. Again, you just pop the head off and you can take that off, and it's just soft rubber, so that's removable as well. And then he's just got silver metallic paint underneath that, so pretty basic as far as the paint scheme goes. And then he's got the green metallic on the shorts and then for the boots. Okay, so Whirlwind here is actually pretty tall. He stands at about 4¼ inches tall, so he's definitely on the tall side. I don't really recall Whirlwind being that tall. Here he is next to the Marvel Universe Iron Man figure, and you can see he is definitely taller than Iron Man. So I would think that they would be about the same size. Here he is next to his fellow Master of Evil teammate, Radioactive Man, who's pretty big character in the comics, but again, Whirlwind is taller. He actually is about the same height as the Death Heads figure. Death Heads is maybe a little bit taller with his horns, but for the most part they're about the same height. So again, that to me just seems a little bit tall for this character. It's not major, but just something to note. Okay, so articulation on this figure is about average for a Marvel Universe / Infinite Series figure. It's not spectacular, but it's not horrible. The head is just attached on a ball joint. There's no hinge on the neck or anything, so he really has no up or down movement at the head. He can turn his head left and right. It's a little tight to turn with the chest piece on, but you can get it to turn even with that chest piece on there. Then the arms are attached with your standard hinge joint, ball hinge joint at the shoulder. So he's got pretty good rotation even with the chest piece there. You can get his arms extended all the way out, so you can kind of do that Whirlwind effect look. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got a single hinge at the elbow, but he does have very good bending at the elbow, you can see. And then he's got swivels at the wrist, but he does not have any hinges on the wrist. And again, there's no articulation on the blades at all. He's got a midsection joint, and he's got some up and down movement there. And again, because this chest piece is separate, it doesn't really prohibit that movement at all. And he's got swivel there as well at the midsection. The legs are attached with ball joints, so he can do the splits about that much, and he can get his leg forward about that much. Can't really get it out and back, but can't get it straight back because of the way the butt's sculpted. There's no thigh swivel. Does have double jointed knees, and then he's got a swivel and a hinge at the ankle. Not really any pivot though. It's just the up and down movement. A little bit maybe, but not a whole lot in the way of ankle pivot there. Just up and down. And then he's got 2 peg holes at the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I think this is a decent figure. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's just a little bit on the bland side. Like I said before, I think if they had added an additional accessory, something to mimic his wind power, it would have added to the overall appeal of this figure. Just made it more fun to pose, play with, what have you. As it stands, it's not a bad interpretation of the Whirlwind character, and certainly if you're looking to add more bad guys to your Masters of Evil team, this is definitely one you'll probably want to pick up. As I've mentioned before, Wave 2 of the Infinite series has started hitting online e-tailers right now, so you can order them online. I have not heard any reports of them showing up at physical stores as of yet, but I imagine they'll start showing up there soon if they haven't already. So we'll be continuing to look at figures in the second series in the days to come, so be sure to check back for that. And that's my review. I hope you enjoy it. Until next time, I'll catch you later.